Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Be Your Own Dang Hero podcast. I'm your host, Pauline McKinney, and today's episode is such a good one. I'm so excited to dig in with you. It's called When the Cheat Codes Stop Working. Have you ever had a cheat code that you stumbled upon in life that you might have engineered or you accidentally stumbled upon it, like the perfect route to work or that amazing recipe that is your go-to every Tuesday night when you have less time to make dinner or something like that? And cheat codes are amazing, right? We love a good cheat code because it saves us so much time and energy and it's efficient. Who doesn't love efficiency? Have you ever had just a bomb cheat code that was so awesome and then it was working really perfectly until it wasn't? Something like, let's say you have a baby and you finally get your routine down and that baby is asleep in 5 minutes flat. And then one day, not working. Or it could be just like a change of life scenario where, you had the perfect routine in the mornings, but then you change jobs or you move locations and now your commute is totally different and you have to readjust. That is what I'm talking about. The cheat codes that you had worked so hard to create in your life just stop working. That is pretty stressful and it can be on a spectrum, right? It can be from like mildly annoying all the way up to completely disruptive in your life. And that's the whole point of cheat codes, right? They're this wonderful little hack that we figure out so that we don't have to waste so much time and energy during our day. And this relates to the hero's journey because it's sort of the very beginning. So Joseph Campbell's hero's journey generally starts with the end of normal. And you have, your life that's a status quo life, and you have these wonderful routines or these go-tos. And the end of normal can really happen in three ways, according to Joseph Campbell. The first way is that you're lured in. And of course, these are all going to be separate episodes. I can't wait to dive into each one with you. It's going to be delicious. The first way is that you're lured in. So something entices you. The second way is that you're carried away, which is today's episode. It's, like something stops working and you literally get carried away. And the third is where you enter into the journey consciously and awake. You know that this is about to happen. And so being carried away is really about one door closing and you can't go back. You are between worlds. You can't go back. It will never be the same. And there's another door in front of you. And in literature or pop culture, this can look like in Star Wars. Luke is carried into the hero's journey when his family's farm gets destroyed on Tatooine. Wizard of Oz, the tornado literally comes and carries Dorothy from Kansas into Oz. She has no choice. The normal is gone. Or even in Moana, when, like her village, which, everything is normal and great. And she's like sucking it up to try to be the leader that she's supposed to be. And then famine starts to take hold in her village. Something is happening. That's the end of normal. It's out of her control and carrying her into the next phase of the journey. So in real life, the end of normal can look a lot of different ways. It can be a whole spectrum of happenings or events or a series of events. It can be instantaneous or it can be a while in the making. And it can look like a health diagnosis. And that can be anything from, hey, you're pre-diabetic and you have to completely change your diet to you now have a serious disease. It can look like a financial crisis where everything is wiped out in a matter of days or in a moment. It can look like a relationship, job, friendship situation that almost seems to change overnight. Circumstances completely out of your control. Maybe there's a round of layoffs, or maybe there's a conflict that ensues that you can't go back after what was said or what took place. And a lot of it is around new information that you can't unknow. It could even be like a physical, there's now construction to your favorite route, or your go-to restaurant closes, or your nanny moves away. I mean, it can be things that are just so sudden and you have no control over them. And what really marks this particular entrance to the hero's journey for me, because this has been one of the most common ways that I have entered into a hero's journey of my own, has really been around the end of normal being uncomfortable. It feels inconvenient, and it's also a calling to change and grow. So while the examples I just went through can be pretty sudden, they can also be gradual changes, like a job that you start to outgrow. And here's a real life example of how this is taking place in my own life. It's a gradual example, and it's all around my kids. And when they were little, it was so much easier to have authority over them, to say, this is the rule. And if you don't follow the rule, this is the consequence. And obviously, they're teenagers, so there are certain rules and consequences. But I know that the clock is winding down on that, and I can't be in charge forever. So I've had to make a conscious decision to have to shift how I relate to my kids. Because if I only ever want to assert authority over them at this point in their lives, it turns into power struggles. And my cheat codes for, if you do this, then this happens, for every single thing that takes place, aren't working. They just end up in arguments. So I've had to really work on how to become more influential, how to come to agreements and compromises that work for both sides, or that irritate both sides evenly. And so it can be sudden, it can be gradual, but it's really about one door closing and you making a choice, because you're now being called into a new world, into a new era. And for Act 3, I really want to go into some of the tools and the resources that have helped me as I navigate this part of the hero's journey. The deeper meaning is that life is constantly changing. Whether we want it to or not, it is always going to change. And if you spend your life frustrated over everything that you can't control, it will suck the life force and energy out of you. And it's really a call to learning how to surrender and trust what's unfolding and learning to flow with it. And while that is so much easier said than done, I have come across some tools and ways to help me thrive when the cheat codes stop working. I don't just want you to survive. I want you to thrive. I want you to recognize when this is happening, because awareness is always the first step. If you can recognize that this is a cheat code that's not working, that the end of normal is happening, you can go then to your resources and tools. And the first thing I want you to do is an exercise. I would grab a sheet of paper and a pen. I got this exercise from Sadie Simone's Scarcity to Abundance course. It's a great little 30-day course. And in one of those days, he has you pull out a sheet of paper and a pen, and you draw 3 circles, all within one another. So a small circle, and then outside of the small circle is a slightly bigger circle. And then outside of the bigger circle is an even bigger circle. So it looks like a target. And the very inner circle is like your comfort zone. And you can even list all of those things, because when you make a cheat code, you've basically taken something that used to be outside of your comfort zone and you put it right in there. And it's so easy now. It just works like a little routine. And outside of that comfort zone is your growth zone. And the growth zone is what feels a little bit challenging, a little hard, a little risky or uncomfortable. And when a cheat code stops working, it means you're being called into that growth zone. That's what that is. That's what's happening. And the big circle is like the scary zone, like the scary, disruptive kind of change zone. And I mean, it is possible you're being called into that too. But just know that what's happening is you're being disrupted out of your comfort zone, and life is telling you it's time to change. So one reframe that you can take from this, whatever is happening, is what if what's not working is a call for me to grow? What am I being called to grow into? And what's the next level of growth that is happening for me, that's unfolding in my life right now? So for example, it's out of my comfort zone to have to negotiate with my teenagers, to consider them on a higher plane where I don't have absolute authority and I won't forever. And it's calling me to become more of a mentor, a guide to them, someone that they can trust, who won't judge them. And I'm moving out of this parental authoritarian role in my own life into more of a guide, a trusted guide, someone who can help them ensure that they can trust themselves to make the right decisions, because that's where they're starting to go in their lives. And it is uncomfortable and it does sometimes blow up or not work or whatever. But that's what's happening right now. That's just what I'm being called into doing. And so if you can take a look and become aware, and you can reframe this with, okay, instead of everything's falling apart, which yes, it is, also what is new that's growing, that has called me to grow into. It's a great way to kind of reframe it so that you don't feel stuck and powerless, but then you can sort of feel like, okay, what's my next level? How can I respond from this place of like what I'm being called to grow into? Another couple of resources are the idea of mantras. So I learned this in Sadi Simone's somatic activated healing course around the idea of having a mantra when life feels sticky and hard. Mantras are just sayings that you can say to yourself when you feel out of control, when you feel incredibly uncomfortable. And that is, just you can make up whatever mantra you want. I could give you a mantra and then you can sort of decide to make it your own. But a mantra you can say to yourself is, I can handle whatever comes. When something starts to feel uncomfortable and hard and that door is closing and you're really resisting, can you tell yourself, I can handle whatever comes today? I can handle this. That's a great mantra. And because I happen to be on another hero's journey on the other side of my life, the other part of myself is starting my own business. And so I am lost a lot. I get lost all the time. And I mean, a mantra isn't even powerful enough on that side of the house for me anymore. I literally have to pray. I have to just pray, and I have to let someone else take control. I have to let the divine in. And if that's not for you, you can totally leave this here, but I say a prayer. I got this prayer from Barbara Hewson, who is an amazing financial women's coach and author. She just talked about how when she feels so lost, she says this, and it's something that I say on that side of the house all the time. Help me see this differently. Please help me see this differently, because sometimes you just need that change in perspective. If you are feeling so lost, you can use that. Help me see this differently. And surprisingly, it works. You will find a place that you will see this differently. And if you want to go deeper with this work, I would highly recommend, if you don't have your journal, the practice that you've started yet, go on beyourowndanghero.com. And every episode, I put out a worksheet that you can download. And it will have prompts and questions for you to just journal on. And so often, if you can just get it out of your head, you will feel 100 times better. I can't tell you how often my journal has saved my mental energy, because I just get to just put it all out there and then I can let it go. And so I would highly recommend that you go there. Either you start your journal practice or you go and download the worksheet and you can just write about it and just get in touch with yourself and tell yourself the truth, because there is no more transformative practice than connecting with you and telling yourself the truth and writing out how you're really feeling and what's really happening so that you can chew on what's happening and digest it and then change your perspective. And finally, this episode is brought to you by my day job, Be the Data Hero. If you need help seeing and understanding what's not working in your business, let your data show you. It's right there in your systems that you use to run your business day to day, and it's ready to help you. I can pull that data out and turn it from just plain old data into valuable insights that you can use to understand what's not working, to look at the patterns of change. I would be so thrilled and honored to work with you. When you're ready, visit bethedatahero.com to get started. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And don't forget, you have got this and you can handle anything that comes your way. Have a great day.